Hi, my name is Charlie, and you can also call me the Guitar Boy. Today, we are going to be discussing chemistry. Before then, hear this. If you are that student that have problem with science subjects, you have problem with chemistry, you have problem with physics, you have problem with mathematics, just make sure now, don't waste time, don't hesitate. Make sure you follow this page right now, because many secrets about science subject is going to be unveiled on this very platform, and I want you, for that reason, I want you to follow this page right now. And if you are in Edo State, bypass Sapele Road, and you want, in short, you are in Edo State, Sapele Road, and you want to come and join us in physical classes. We are in Edo State, Sapele Road bypass. We are close, very much close to Belisima Junction. Just come and join us. If you come to our class, I believe there will be great opportunity for you to ask questions about anything you don't understand. You'll be able to ask questions about those things. So today we are going to be talking about element, compound, and mixture. We explain everything about them, and this thing we are going to be explaining today, make sure you take note of them, because it's going to affect these things will affect your theory in chemistry. They will affect your calculations in chemistry. So that is the major reason why you should take note of every piece of information in this particular class today. Now, we will start with element. What is an element? An element is a substance that cannot be split by ordinary chemical method. An element is a substance that cannot be split by ordinary chemical method, which means you cannot just ordinary chemical method, like maybe you just heat the substance, it will not break into simpler units. No, for element, it cannot be split by ordinary chemical method. Maybe you by cooling it will not maybe break. Okay, so you cannot split element by ordinary chemical method. Now, what before then, we'll just talk about the first 20 elements. We'll talk about the first 20 elements. Now, this is where students start making error in chemistry. This particular part, when new student comes to the class, when you ask the student to list, we have many elements, but we just, for this level and for this class, we just concentrate on the first 20 elements. So when you ask the student to list the first 20 elements, for instance, you will see the student will say hydrogen, calcium, aluminium, potassium. No, that is not how to list it. You have to list it in orderly manner. You have to arrange them the way it is arranged in the periodic table, because there is a reason for that. For example, I want to list the first 20 elements now. Just watch. This is element. Then this one is the symbol. They are symbols, as this one is also very crucial, especially in writing chemical formulas. They are symbols. So when you write them like this, number one, you have to know that number one is hydrogen. Look at the symbol. Whenever you see H, you know that it is what? Hydrogen. One of it, this is a molecule of hydrogen. One, if you remove this two, it will not be one. One is an atom of hydrogen. So number two is helium. Helium. Number three, lithium. Lithium. Number four, beryllium. Beryllium. Number five, boron. 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 Number six, carbon. Carbon. Number seven, nitrogen. Nitrogen. Number 8, oxygen. Number 9, fluorine. Write again, element symbol. Okay, nitrofluorine. Then number 10, neon. Number 11, sodium. Number 12, magnesium. Number 13, aluminium. Number 14, silicon. Number 15, phosphorus. Number 16, sulfur. Number 17, chlorine. Number 18, argon. Number 19, potassium. Number 20, calcium. That is Ca. So these are the first 20 elements. Now you see the way I listed it. I started with, I put hydrogen at number 1, helium number 2. This is how you should put them in your head. You know, just look for a way to memorize it. Most students would use it to form song, just to memorize it. However, me, I did not use song, but I will teach you the song that you can use to memorize it. Just memorize it in your head. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. Hydrogen, helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon, sodium, magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, potassium, calcium. You can even use it to form your own song, whichever way. What matter is that you know them like this, the way they are arranged here. Just look at the reason why you know them. You should know them like this. You see this number you have here now is their identity number. Just like I say, if I say I am an atom and my atomic number is 1, what am I? I am hydrogen. I am an atom, my atomic number is 20. What am I? I don't know if you are getting it. I am what? Calcium, number 20. This is their atomic number. And this is their ID. That number is very crucial, because if you don't know them to their number, forget chemistry. You will struggle till the end. You are going to struggle. So they are more than actually 20. They are more than 20. But basically, if you know this 20, you will still do well in your exam. But it's not bad if you know up to 40 with their identity number like that. This is, you can call it, this in chemistry we call this number as proton number or atomic number, whichever one you want to call it, in whether you call it proton number or atomic number. Just imagine your identity number, maybe your national identity number, just as it's going to affect everything you do. Maybe most of the things you do, maybe you want to go and do this, they say bring your NIN. You want to go and do this, bring your NIN. The same thing will happen here. There are most things you are going to be doing in chemistry will require their proton number, which is their identity number. So all these numbers here, hydrogen is number 1, helium is number 2, lithium is number 3, beryllium is number 4. So you must know them like this. Just put that. That's the first step. If you are ready to study chemistry, you must put them in your head like that. My own, I just I just memorized it like that, even without song in my secondary school. At secondary school then, I memorized it like that. So it's not bad if you also do the same thing. Either that song or anyone you want to use is acceptable, provided you can remember them along with their identity number. It's going to be great. Now, we are done with element. You can go and study your periodic table, check other element, extend it to 40. Okay, now let's go to compound. What is a compound? A compound is a substance that consists of two or more elements chemically combined together. A substance is a compound. A compound is a substance that consists of two or more elements chemically combined together. A substance. What am I saying? A compound is a substance that consists of two or more elements chemically combined together. So this compound consists of two or more of these. Now, there is one thing you should take note of in this part between these two. There is one particular thing you should take note of. When you are talking about a compound must consist of two or more elements. For instance, you cannot call this, okay, if you come here now, this is two hydrogen. So this one is not a compound. This one is a molecule. We'll talk about atom, molecule, and ion later. So we will still connect it to this. So make sure you understand this one very well so that when we are there connecting it to this, you also understand. Okay? Excuse me. So you also what? Understand. That is why. So this one is not a compound. This one is an element. So an element, anytime you have something like this, maybe hydrogen, whether it is two, whether it is some element that like sulfur that has up to what 8 as like that exists as a free, like that exists like this as a form existing state of this, you still see it as element. It does not just depend on the number. It is not because of the number that makes you call it a compound. It is because it consists of more than one element. For instance, carbon 2 oxide, CO. We have carbon, we have oxygen. It consists of two or more elements. So when it consists of two or more elements, you call it a compound. In this part, it does not. It only consists of one element, which is what? Sulfur. This one, it only consists of hydrogen, which is what? One element, which is what? Hydrogen. So no matter the number here, in as much as sulfur, everything is an element. You see it as an element. This one is hydrogen. You see it as an element. This one is a compound. So an element is just one element. A compound consists of two or more elements. Another example of a compound is what? Magnesium sulfate. Magnesium sulfate. Yeah, magnesium sulfate. This is another example. You see that this is a compound because it contains magnesium, it contains sulfur, and it also contains oxygen. Because this is more than this is even this contains 3 elements. So you can call it a compound. You cannot call this one a compound. You cannot call this one a compound. So a compound an element is just one element, while a compound consists of two or more elements together, bind together chemically. So that is why I define a compound as a substance which consists of two or more elements chemically combined together. They must be chemically combined together. Hence, you call them what? A pure substance. Like here now, everything here now, they will not behave like magnesium. This one, they are just together. They are binded together chemically. So they have separate property from magnesium. This one have separate property from sulfur. This one has separate property from what? Oxygen. So this one now that you have in here is a pure substance, just standing on its own. So that's why you were able to give it a new name. You call it what? Magnesium sulfate as a chemical what? Compound. So this is a pure substance, pure substance. Okay. Another example of compound is what? Your table salt, the one you use to cook at home. That one you put in your food. That salt is called what? Sodium what? Chloride. So this one is what? Another example of what? A compound. Okay, it's another example. It consists of two elements. So since it consists of two elements, you can't call this element, you call it what? A compound. So you have to know the difference between, we have explained the difference between element, we have explained the difference between element and compound. Now let's move to mixture. A mixture is a substance which consists of two or more constituents that are not chemically bound together. A mixture is a substance which consists of two or more constituents that are not chemically bound together. For instance, you have your garri and your salt. You have your garri and your salt, your dry garri, or let me not use garri. Let me use another thing. Okay, your garri and your sand, or your garri and your salt. Okay, if you have garri, or okay, let's use sand plus sodium chloride, which is the salt you use to cook at home. That salt you use to cook at home. If you mix the two of them together, this guy is a compound. This one is a mixture anyway, already on its own, contain different parts. It is a mixture on its own. So if you mix the two of them together, or you mix, okay, if you mix the two of them together, this is a mixture. Okay, or you mix salt and garri together, it's a mixture. It is a mixture because you can easily separate them. Can you separate them, salt and garri? Yes, you can separate them by dissolving the salt, leaving the garri in water. If you dissolve the salt in water and the salt and the garri together, if you dissolve them in water, then the salt will dissolve, the garri will not dissolve. Then you filter the water away which contain the salt, and then evaporate the water and the salt, then so that you can get your salt. So that is it. That's a mixture. A mixture is not chemically bound together. They are just mixed together. So this one still exists on its own. This one still exists on its own. But a compound, they are bound together chemically. They are bound together what? Chemically in a compound. That is the difference between a compound. That's the explanation between element, compound, and mixture. And if you know it this way, it's going to help you in chemistry. It's going to make life easy for you. So thank you as you have listen to this class, to this video. I want you, if you benefit from this video, I want to hear your comment. Maybe if there is anything that you want us to improve on, you can also comment on the comment section, as we will gladly appreciate you for that. And remain blessed and blessed. Make sure you like and share this video so that your friends can also see it and learn from it. Thank you. God bless you. Bye.